Back in my days at Tech, before computers, we did everything by hand, and a lot of the projects, to put color on them, transparent watercolor was kind of the norm. Well, I'm an architect. I work in the operations division, particularly in design. And then I'm also assigned to help develop design and construction standards for the university. I came to Texas Tech in 1964 from Cisco, Texas, to study architecture, which I wasn't even quite sure what architecture was. Got my cap and gown, got my family in town. Then the May 11th, 1970 tornado took away our Coliseum that we were going to walk in. So I got to graduate 30 years later, walking at least. But so it's been part of my life since 1964.
So tell me about what building projects on campus have been your favorite.
I don't have a favorite. I don't have a favorite Beatles song either. But
my dad is a comedian. He loves to joke. He is always playing jokes on people, always teasing people. But he is also an excellent architect and artist. He is very dedicated to his craft. If you look at any of his work, there's a lot of ornate detail in all of his architecture that he does.
So tell us now about your experience with accessible design.
It started with a project. I worked at Tech as a part-time student in what was then the Campus Planning Committee Coordinator's office. I was recruited actually to Schmidt, Tisdale and Associates, who was the campus architect at the time, because they knew me because a lot of my design work was handed over to them to do the construction documents. So one of the first projects, almost immediately, was Ballinger School, and it was for students within Lubbock Independent School District that needed facilitation and then special education. Some of the students that went to this school were on gurneys. Others were in wheelchairs. And we came up with a building that was specifically suited to those students with those specific needs. That was my first introduction. Then in 1972, December, a couple of days after Christmas, I had a son, Dustin.
I'm Dustin Adling. I'm Bill Adling's son. I was born with spina bifida, and I was born with paralyzed legs, and then a few years ago, due to infection, I had both my legs amputated.
He had surgery when he was 20 hours old, and he had that mobility disability, and so you learn a lot and you get even more aware of not only his specific disability needs, but also others that have their own range of needs.
I remember there was a lot of places I couldn't get in because the door's width was too narrow, and I was just a kid, so my wheelchair was smaller and everything.
But when the national ADA came about, each state were encouraged to develop a standard judged to be equivalent to ADA by the Department of Justice. So the state of Texas formed Architectural Barriers Advisory Committee.
At the time Dad was appointed to the committee, I was working for him at the office. He ensured that everyone who was working for him was an expert on all of the requirements. And he really was dedicated to this because of Dusty's condition. And he knew the challenges that Dustin experienced. getting around town, getting around when we were on vacation, all of his daily life challenges. So he was very dedicated to that.
Persons that need help with getting up, getting ready for the day, and they've put forth a whole lot of effort just to be there. You know, what it takes us to get there versus what it takes a lot of people with disabilities to get there. They've already gone through a lot more than what we've gone through. So once they get there, let's make it easy for them and accommodate them.
I think that's one of the nice things about walking around Texas Tech is that it is one of those campuses that is very accessible. We're really lucky in Texas that we have this law that helps guide all the principals for the architectural accessibility.
He is very dedicated, and he loves being an architect, and he loves being an artist.
That one's just got such good detail with the trees, the sky.
Nobody said, "Hey, Bill, you ought to be an artist." But I think I just had an interest in art that was kind of embedded somewhere, that a little bit more that I do. Then I wanted to try to get a little better at art. Painting is a good release for me. And when I do paint, I paint for myself. I paint what I like. If nobody else likes it, then I'm cool with that. And then I'm also assigned to help develop standards.
What do you love about your job?
The people I work with, and then also being on the Tech campus. That's great for me because the people I work with are fabulous. There's a lot of talent. There's a lot of people that know a lot more than I do, so I can learn from them. And it's just really good to be part of the team.
How long has Texas Tech been a part of your life?
Well, I came to Texas Tech in 1964 from Cisco, Texas.